The topic of discussion today is DNA angels. Who are these DNA angels? What are they? What are their purpose? What do they do? In this video, I'll be explaining it using the OahspeCollegeUniversity. Brothers and sisters, in our world, we have doctors. We also have scientists who specialize in taking an egg and the sperm of the male and the woman egg, and they fertilize it, in which a lot of people today call IVF. Interesting enough, we have the same thing going on in heaven, but in an advanced level. So, and angels in heaven actually do go through certain education. They go through skill set, they go through a workshop. For example, for a period of years, they do certain stuff that benefit them, and from there they advance in spirit. And what I find interesting is that part of all this education they give to these angels is for them, because in the near future, they should be able to govern a city or town, or be a god of a heaven or heavenly kingdom, whatever it is. So if they cannot do certain stuff, then you cannot be a god or a goddess. We are female angels. And I find this interesting that this particular angel called DNA angels, in which the OahspeC describes as masters of generations, or Louis, OahspeC also call them Louis. I choose the word DNA angels for proper understanding. Now, you just don't become a Louis or masters of generation just like that. You got to go through some type of education. And I'm going to go to the book of Divinity, chapter 4, verse 1 to 4. And I find it very interesting what you have to go through. OahspeC describes a basic instructions or basic education, because angels in heaven do go to education too. Also, so book of Divinity, chapter 4, verse 1 to 4. Verse 1, God said, for the spirit of the Zarathustra, was once a human who came to our world, and during that time he was able to establish the creator's way of life. You want to call it religion, that's up to you. But in this, God said, for the spirit of the Zarathustra, who has completed his primary education, what then? On which all of the members spoke after that deep degree. Verse 2, he shall serve, listen to this, he shall serve 200 years as an apprentice Louis. Now, Louis, so in this instant, he's going to serve as an apprentice DNA angel. Now, I want you to listen to what this particular angel is going to be doing for a period of 200 years. This is interesting. He shall become proficient in the knowledge of creation of mortals. You see that? Learning to prophesize what the offspring will be. So he's going to be learning to prophesy what that offspring of humans are going to be. So they're going to assign this angel to a couple. So one man and one woman who's married, or it might be in the instance where they're not married, but this particular angels decided that this person's DNA, this woman's DNA, matches this man's DNA. Let's inspire, so the angels inspire both of them to mate, so they have sex. Now, this is interesting. Now, I'm going to continue now. Learn to prophesize what the offspring will be according to the parentage, to become wise in discerning how the is. So that spirit of the living, his means spirit, is of a living mortal, governs the flesh to good or evil. How the ease of mortal controls, you see that, the sex and ultimate size and health and strength of the offspring. Verse 3, to learn which the Louis shall take him. So you see that Louis is these are DNA angels, right? But they're gonna take an apprentice DNA angel. So you see, listen to this verse 3 carefully. to learn which the Louis shall take him to thousands of mortals. They didn't say one mortal, not two. They didn't even say 100. They didn't say three. They said thousands of mortals. And he shall make a record of what he has observed. And when those mortals have offspring born to them, you see that when they give back children, and when they give back to children, he shall make a record of it. And he shall observe the character of the birth, the foundation of the child, together which what condition surrounded the mother of the child, and he shall follow that child till he has grown up. You see that? So you have this apprentice DNA angel. So you have these DNA angels, because remember, even the Louis in their previous time, they had to go through this too. They were once an apprentice. You see? And then they're saying that they shall follow the child till he has grown up, and also married and begotten a child or children, so on to the sixth generation. Let's pause. It says sixth generation. So we're talking about up to 600 years. Sixth generation. So a generation is 100 years. So when that's 600 years that this apprentice DNA angel is going to follow this particular family. You see that? And this is the 28th divine law, verse 4, div degree. After he has served 200 years, he shall be examined by his Lord or his Lord's deputy, and if proficient in prophesying to the sixth generation, he shall be entered as an Ashar are guardian angels. He shall be entered as an Ashar on the list of 412s for every moon's change. But the 48 Ashars shall not be Ashars to more than 192 mortals, unless otherwise specially allocated by the Lord or God in dominion. You see that? This is interesting, because in order for this angel, this DNA angel, to be able to come up with children that will serve the Creator, children that will be able to become seers, prophets. You see that? They have to go through the generations of this family, and they guide them, they inspire them on what food to eat, how to behave. So this is interesting. So this book of Divinity, chapter 4, verse 1 to 4, just, tells you what a DNA angel do during their spirit life when they're in education, how they influence humans. You see, where it's in verse 3, it says, to learn which the Louis shall take him to thousands of mortals, and he shall make a record of what he has observed. When those mortals have offspring born to them, you see, and he's keeping a record. So when keeping a record means he's keeping track of this family. You see that? And he's keeping a track up to sixth generation. That we're talking about 600 years. So and then the funny thing about a lot of people in our society today, they think prophets just come out of blue. They think that it just happened. No. You have angels. We're talking about high-ranked angels, angels of high wisdom, governing, inspiring, living in spirit world, but influencing these humans. You see? Now, if you go to the book of Judgment, chapter 37, verse 1 to 6, it's interesting. God here says that, things are in system and order, because a lot of people think things are not in system in order. So in the book of Judgment, chapter 37, verse 1 to 6, it says, God said, do not think, O man, that your God goes about accomplishing a work without system and order. You see that? So there is a system in order in place. And who are these angels that God put in order to bring forth children who is going to serve the Creator? They are the DNA angels. Verse 2, truly, these are the first of my consideration. First, I send my Louis. You see that? Verse 3, first, I send my Louis. So he's saying, I send my DNA angels. my master of generation down to the earth, to the nations and peoples, where I intend to build my edifice. Verse 4. And my Louis, by what? Inspiration now, control the marriages of certain mortals. You see, God just don't wake up in the morning and say, oh, in the country of America, in the state of Texas, I'm going to make this family a prophet. No. It doesn't work that way. They plan it. They plan for centuries. They plan for years, for thousands of years. You have angels, hosts of angels planning this. God doesn't just wake up and say, oh, yes, since this family refused to follow my commandment or follow my words, let's choose another. No, it doesn't work that way. They got to plan it. You see? So let's go back to verse 4 from the book of Judgment, chapter 37, verse 4. And my Louis, by inspiration, you see that? Control the marriages of certain mortals, so that heirs, you see that? Be born into the world, suited to the work that I have on hand. Verse 5. Toward this end, my Louis labor. You see that? For many generations. Some people just think that the host of angels and the creator and gods, they just wake up and say, oh, you know what? Go down to and choose one human in Atlanta and make him or her my subject, so that he could serve the creator. No. It takes 200 years. It takes 600 years. It takes 1,000 years to accomplish this. You see? And toward this end, verse 5, my Louis labor for many generations, raising up thousands and tens of thousands of mortals, yes, according to my commandment. Verse 6, so, oh man, for 400 years, did you hear that? 400 years, the DNA angels, my Louis are DNA angels now, shape mortals' butt to bring about the armies of your God. Clear and simple. You see, now in the book of divinity, like I said, an apprentice DNA angels have to live with humans and mortals, inspire them. It just don't happen boom, like that. No, it doesn't go like that. So you have these angels behind inspiring humans. They choose a certain, and then they work with them. They work with that family for 200 years, 300 years. In verse 6, it says here, so, oh man, for 400 years, my Louis shaped mortal birds to bring about the armies of your God. You just don't wake up one day and you become a seer, a prophet. No, it doesn't work that way. In my next video, who are called prophets, I'm going to show you samples of these true prophets. And this topic I cannot put up a video about who are prophets or what are prophets without explaining these DNA angels first. This is critical. This is needed first before the next video come up. You see? And then I will review, giving you examples of prophets, seers. And then I also review to you the fake ones, how you can identify them. Now, this topic is showing you that the Creator gives to God the way to come about with these seers and people who are going to serve the Creator. That you just don't, the God and Creator just don't wake up one day and say, oh, do me a favor. I'm looking for a prophet who's going to serve my people, or who's going to explain stuff to my people. So you know what? Just go down to New York, to the city of New York, or to the state of New York, and pick any human there and make the person a prophet. No, that's fake prophecy right there. That's how you know the fake prophets. That's what the fake gods do. That's what the false gods, the falsehood gods, that's what the fake gods do. So now, to prove further that, in the OahspeCollegeUniversity, they have to use the DNA angels to choose about who um who will bring offsprings to wisdom, love, and power. In the book of Ancient, chapter 9, verse 20. The book of Ancient, chapter 9, verse 20. I mean, the thing is though, why do these DNA angels need to um come about to our world to inspire us? That's because they need to bring offspring. They need to give birth to children who are going to serve the Creator, who is going to make the way so that people, when they cross over, when they die now, they can continue to rise in power. Because when you raise people in darkness, so when they die, they're going to remain in darkness. So you need to bring people into light. You see, that's why these DNA angels are there, to inspire certain families or certain children so that they could bring up, children of light, children of peace, children of power. The book of Ancient, chapter 9, verse 20. Jehovah said, Jehovah, that's the name of the Creator. After the Simon age, I gave to this earth from my ethereal heavens sons and daughters, and they abode with mortals for what? 3,000 years. Did you hear that? They abode with mortals for 3,000 years. And my Ethereans established Louis, DNA angels now, on the lands of the earth. And they commanded the Louis, DNA angels, say to them, your office is to lead mortals by inspiration to dwell together. You see that? Man and woman as husband and wife. And in such adaptation that their offspring, their children, their future generation shall rise in wisdom, love, and power than the father and mother. You see that? Straight, easy. Now, if we go to the book of the Synopsis of 16 Cycles, chapter 3, verse 22. Synopsis of 16 Cycles, chapter 3. Synopsis of 16 Cycles, chapter 3, verse 22. Verse 22. And because man was without knowledge, my gods and lords appointed certain masters of generations, who were Ethereans of great wisdom, to remain with mortals and inspire marriages. You see that? Inspire marriages that will best promote spiritual growth. See, that's it right there. These marriages, when they give back to children, they're going to promote spiritual growth from the start. You see that? And they came forth among all people, certain ones capable of sages and suis. Sages is the ability to see spiritual angels. To see spiritual beings. So they're able to see spirits. They're able to see angels. They're able to see gods. And suis is the ability for an angel to take form in front of you. Again, this is how you could, in my next video, I'm going to explain this, who are prophets. I'm telling you right now, if your prophet cannot have an angel perform certain sound or take a shape of a form, that is not a prophet. Because here clearly tells you that the gods that worship the Creator assign people. They inspire the DNA angels to bring certain humans capable of sages and suis. Sages is the ability to see what? Spirits, angels, and gods. And suis is, sages is the ability for spirits to take form. In other words, they have the ability to take form in front of you. So they'll show up in front of you like humans. But suis is the ability for you to be able to see spirits, angels, and humans. You see that? So just to explain this again one more time. Sages means that you have the ability, the spirit or that human has the ability to force that spirit to take shape in front of you. So they could take a shape of you and show up as you, and they talk to you like humans will talk to other humans. That's sages. And then suis is the ability for you to be able to see the spirit speak. You see that? You could see spirits, you could see angels, you could see gods. So this is how you identify the fake prophets, the fake seers, from the good ones, from the real ones, you see. And they obey the commandments of my gods and Louis, forsaking evil, striving to serve the spirit, choosing me above all things. In other words, they choose the creator above all things, for which reason I choose them also and call them irons. In my next upcoming video, I'll talk about irons, and this in this video will be about the extinction of humans. Irons were the original humans that came about after the Assyrians, which we call Adamites, the Adamites people. The angels had sex with the Adamite people, and they gave birth to a new human race called Irons. Just to explain further clearly again, as you can see in verse 22 in chapter 3 of the Sequences of 16 Seconds, my gods and lords appointed certain masters of generations who were attainers of great wisdom, and to remain with mortals and inspire marriages that would best promote spiritual growth from the start. And they came forth among all people, certain ones capable of Sagis and Suis. You see, that's how, keep in mind these two keywords, Sagis and Suis. That's how you're able to identify if a DNA angel has imparted your parentage, your ancestors in the past. So they've injected something in your DNA. And the way they did it was that they stayed with your ancestors. And so that traits, that DNA passed down. You see that? And you just don't become a seer, a prophet just like that, or God just don't wake up, like I said previously, and just, I'm going to make this man a prophet. So, yeah, you're a prophet today. No, it don't work that way. It takes centuries. We're talking about hundreds of years, 200 of years. And in the previous chapter, they stayed with certain family for 3,000 years. You see that? And in the next chapter, my favorite book, the book of Fragapeti, chapter 2, verse 24 to 27. Verse 24, God said, how shall this be? To which I replied, I cannot tell, great God, for that department is not in my keeping. But this much I know, you shall send Louis into the city of Oz. Louis, again, like I said, are DNA angels. They shall raise up Sagis. Now, of the 4th grade, this is interesting. They didn't even say the 1st grade. They didn't say the 2nd grade. They didn't even say the 3rd grade. They said the 4th grade. That's deep now. They're gonna raise up Sagis, a combination. Remember, there are certain humans who are Sagis, and there are certain humans who are Suis. But now in Book of Agapedi, the DNA angels are trying to raise a both combination. Now there are some humans who have combination too, don't get me wrong, but they're trying to raise a combination all the way to the 4th grade. That's deep. And all else live till Fragabeti comes. Verse 25, God said, to reach the 4th grade, we require 5 generations. They're talking about, see, right there. The DNA angels are saying, wait a minute. In order for us to raise a Sagis, a human who has the ability of seeing angels and having angels take form of human or take a form of a bird, it's going to take 5 generations. That's 500 years, which shall spring forth from the iron race, commingling. You already know what that means. That means having sex. Commingling with the Eoins. Eoins is another race. If you've not watched my video about ancient aliens, I reveal and teach about different races of human that they will actually describe. Irons and humans. Irons and Wines are different races of humans that came about. And in my upcoming video, Extinction of Humans, I'm going to talk about those races too. And, what time did they become extinct? Now, verse 25, God said, to reach the 4th grade, which require 5 generations, which shall spring forth the iron race, commingling with the irons. Go then, ho Otovat, to your Ethereum home before the council of Obzod to Jehovah's throne, and say to great Phagapeti, an heir to the light of resurrection shall be born before the dawn of Orob. 26. Outward said, on learning these truths, I took my leave and rose and came swiftly back to your realm. Phagapeti said, it is well. During the next dawn of the earth, I will take a resting spell in which to fulfill Jehovah's plan on earth in the heavens. You see, they're trying to raise now, like like I said, in the book of divinity, the book of judgment, the book of Absalom, significance of 16 cycles, and the book of Phagapeti. Don't get me wrong, there are other books. I chose this to make a point, or to come across that these DNA angels are special angels, advanced angels, and what their responsibility do is to raise to the Creator children of spiritual growth, children who can see. And in my next chapter, who are these children? Who are these offsprings? Who are these humans? What are they? What are they called? The OahspeCollegeUniversity describes them as prophets. OahspeCollegeUniversity describes them as seers. In my next video, I'm going to reveal to you the names of these prophets and show you verses from the OahspeCollegeUniversity, using the OahspeCollegeUniversity, showing you the verses, how long it took for these DNA angels to bring forth these humans, and these humans are considered prophets. You just don't wake up from heaven one day and say, oh, tomorrow we're gonna have a prophet in our world. No, it takes centuries, it takes thousands of years, it takes centuries. We're talking about 5,000 years, sometimes 2,000 years. But these angels, these DNA angels, remain with their family. They inspire them with what type of food to eat. They inspire the parents. You see that? Amazing. And there's a perfect example in which I'm going to bring up in my next video, which are called Who Are Prophets. You see example of where this particular family did not hear the voice of the Creator no more, and they brought forth a child who was not a Sagis or Suis. That's because they drifted away. Perfect example. And in the next video also, I'll show to you how the fake prophets, they come about. You see, the fallen angels which proclaim themselves to be gods, they take that mantle. They also could raise prophets, and they have their own way of raising prophet. You see, so I'm going to differentiate these two in my next video, who are called prophets, who are prophets. This video was just to give you clarity, to show you from the OahspeCollegeUniversity Bible that DNA angels are the one behind bringing forth these seers, these prophets in our world. And sometimes it takes 5,000 years, 2,000 years, 400 years, depending of the grade of that human, to what capacity you want that person to be able to see spirits, to see angels, to see gods, to hear the voice of the Creator. So in my next video, I'll render up these prophets. Who are they? What they are? How they came about? Why did they come about? Brothers and sisters, today's topic shows you that DNA angels go through training also. And the book of Divinity chapter 4 explains this. You could go read the book of Divinity chapter 4, the entire, in fact, you should go read the entire chapter. It talks about education in heaven. And I picked one particular, the verse there in chapter 4 that talks about an apprentice, apprentice DNA. And, you know, it takes 200 years for them to remain with humans, and for them just to become an apprentice. They're an apprentice, not a Louis now. You see that? And they have Louis DNA angels who have experience, and they're actually Ethereans. And Ethereans, those are DNA angels. Those are Ethereans that live in the higher heaven, not in the lower heaven. You know, and if you've not read OahspeCollegeUniversity describes lower heavens, higher heavens. And these DNA angels dwell in the higher heavens, and they come down to the lower heaven to inspire humans. Light and peace, brothers and sisters. Bye bye now.